Change begins from within. As easy as it is to look outside of ourselves and want the world to change, the truth is, it never will if we remain the same. This podcast was created for changemakers like you who want more love and connection in your community. Today, you are going to hear stories that will inspire you and also challenge you to be the change. We are going to go deep, my friend. So take a deep breath and settle in. My name is Emilia Tamburini. Welcome to the Circle of Change. Welcome to the summer season, my friend. Wow, summer 2022. How cool is this? It is a double 6 month, 6 being the month of June, and in a 6th year, the 222. And I have a 6th life path. It is such a powerful month. So that you are aware, 6 is all about the power of harmony and symmetry. And that is what I feel like I am in full alignment with right now. Today on this episode, we are going to talk about projecting and what that's all about and how to turn that around so that you can be a force of love in your relationships and in the world. This is such a juicy topic that gets at the very root of what it means to be the change. So stay tuned, change maker. This one is going to be powerful with lots of personal stories to help you ease into a new way to see how you are showing up and how to get into alignment with who you truly are, even when everything inside you is justifying your actions. Okay, let's settle in because this conversation requires being settled. So breathe and get present to this moment of now. It's all you have. I was in conversation with a dear friend recently who told me that when you are present, anxiety cannot exist. And how true is that? Anxiety is only caused by being in the future or being in the past. So if we spend more time in this now, we will have less anxiety. It's amazing and also elusive at times. So let's take this moment right now to practice being in the now. And a great way to do that is to be with your breath because your breath is not in the past or the future. It's only right here. So take another deep breath. And I'm going to read a Chinese proverb to kick us off. When there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. When there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there will be peace in this world. I'm going to read that again. When there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. When there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. And when there is order in the nation, there will be peace in this world. My friend, there cannot be order in the nation if there is not light in our souls. This is essentially why I do the work I do and why I launched the Kindness Circle Tour, to remind people that the change, the kindness that they want to see in the world starts inside. Being kind to ourselves so that we can see the world through a different lens and then shine our light upon it. It is courageous work because our societies are built up around this myth of the very opposite thing, that change begins out there with our leaders, with our parents, our kids, our neighbors, and them. I have heard this particular saying 3 times in the last week, so I feel called to share it with you. When you are pointing a finger at another, there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. My father, he said it in a slightly different way. He said that when you are criticizing others, Ask what it is you are being critical of yourself for. In other words, what are you projecting onto another person? Oh, this is such a hard pill to swallow. I had to swallow it many times as a kid, and I still swallow that pill today as an adult. Let me give you an example so we can really wrap our brains around what we're talking about. So, in the past, I have been very critical of my partners for not being more open, for not talking more about their feelings, for not going as deep and profound as I thought I was. And I would constantly ask them to talk to me, tell me what's going on for you. And they would shut down even more. And I would storm off in frustration, wondering why I kept attracting in emotionally unavailable men. This is a lifelong pattern. When I began my spiritual journey, in other words, when I started looking inside myself, I discovered this amazing thing that what I was asking for, I wasn't actually being myself. I thought I was being open by sharing my frustrations or yelling or trying to articulate what I needed from them. This was open communication in my mind, but I wasn't sharing how I felt, what I was experiencing inside, what I wanted to feel. I was saying, "You're not good enough for me, and I need you to do better so that I can feel okay." But meanwhile, I was holding all sorts of things inside. I wasn't happy. I felt lonely. I felt angry. I felt scared. I felt insecure. But I didn't have emotional awareness or a vocabulary back then. So today I don't judge myself for this way of showing up. But I can tell you that when I discovered that I was projecting all my fears and insecurities onto my partners, it crushed me. I felt shame and embarrassment and anger toward myself and deep sadness. And it took me a long while to come out of that. Here I was saying that these men were emotionally unavailable, and it was me that was emotionally unavailable. I mean, they might have been too, but I have stopped focusing on them. I think a lot about this these days, and I hear it in my circle conversations and other chats with family and friends. But I have to say that every single time, without fail, that we are looking outside of ourselves and wanting the world to be different, there are three fingers pointing back at us, telling us that there's a high probability that we are not being that thing ourselves. So now I know what it does for me to hear this. It gets all my defenses up. Oh no, Amelia, that's not possible. This time it cannot be true that I have anything to do with this. But I can tell you that in 100% of the circumstances that I have applied this to personally, it is true. Now, I don't do this work on my own, and I think it's really important to share that. I have an amazing spiritual partner in my life. She and I support each other to contribute what we want to contribute to in the world, which, to put it in its most simple form, is love versus fear. So when we are struggling, we chat and say, "Hey, I need some support." And we know that that support doesn't mean I need you to collaborate with me on my fear and tell me that I'm right and they're wrong. It means I need you to help me suffer less so I don't cause more suffering in my relationships and in the world. We have laughed together so many times at the trickiness of our brains to constantly want to protect ourselves and make others wrong. This is why finding these people in your life to support you to be who you really want to be is essential. Because sometimes it is literally impossible to see it, especially at the beginning when we're just starting to work this muscle out of looking inside. Before I close, I want to make a distinction because I can imagine that you might be saying, "Amy Leah, that person just caused me harm. So you're telling me that I should take responsibility for that and let them off the hook?" No, that is not what I'm saying. But isn't it amazing that your brain may have interpreted what I said that way? If you go back and listen, nowhere did I suggest that. But again, when our brains are wired to protect ourselves at all costs, We listen to everything through a filter that makes that so. It is amazing. So this responsibility piece, it is challenging, and I see it all the time in my work in restorative justice. These cases can be quite complex. It's not simply one person walking down the street and then punching someone, and clearly that person was in the wrong. There's so many layers to these cases. Maybe the person who committed the offense, they come from a home filled with trauma. They come from a home of many poor models of how to handle anger or differences of opinion. Then it's a few drinks in, and then maybe a racial slur is said, and then the person retaliates with violence. And understandably, the person that retaliates with violence is full of reasons why their actions were justified. So, my role as a facilitator is to acknowledge the situation, to see this person and their situation for what it is. We aren't sugarcoating the complexity and feelings of maybe the wrongness of what the other person did, but where the power lies is to be able to dissect what is their responsibility and what is not. And if we can get there, oh, it is pure magic. And everyone's life changes each and every time the person who is able to take responsibility for their actions and the harm that it caused, they find so much power in their life. And often they become a role model for their peers and their family and a force for peace in the world. So I do believe that when harms are done, it is important to take responsibility for that which you are responsible for and leave what you are not responsible for. So in those relationships of mine, I mean, I could take responsibility for the harsh words that I used, for projecting my feelings, and for any harm that was caused as a result of that. I'm not taking responsibility for any actions of theirs, and I might still leave the relationship at the end of the day. So I want to end with this saying in case you're still holding on. And I expect you to because you're a human being. Your brains are wired to protect you. So if you're in that space where you're like, I cannot let go of what that other person did, I don't want to take responsibility. I don't want to let go of the anger, the sadness, the hurt, the resentfulness that I have. Think about those situations, those major life events that happen when things suddenly shift in your mind. So here's a saying to root us in what I'm talking about. And it's by Og Mandino. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend to them all the care, kindness, and understanding you could muster, and do it with no thought of any reward. Your life will never be the same again. So, in a smaller example, you can think about those times where maybe you say, "Oh, I just don't have time for that. Like, I don't have time to call my parents." But then a health situation occurs in your parents, and suddenly you have all the time in the world to fly home and be with them. The story of "I don't have time" disappears. For me, this happened with my dad. I was angry at my dad a lot, always needing him to do better, to be different. There was nothing he could do to make me open my heart up to him fully. I was on a plane coming home from a bike trip, and after some conversations with friends, I had decided I was going to write him a letter or a speech. I wasn't really sure what it was yet. But when I got home, I was going to call him and read it to him, or I was going to mail it to him. And I got off the flight, and there was this message waiting for me from him. And it said, "Emilia, I want to let you know that I have cancer. I'm not going to do my chemo treatments. Just wanted to let you know I love you." Oh, friend, a flurry of emotion came over me at this time, and sadness was not one of those feelings. I was angry. I was angry at the universe. Like, okay, now what? What am I supposed to do with all of this information, these words that I had planned to speak to this person who is now dying? Well, it didn't matter anymore. I put it aside, and I decided that The person I wanted to be was a loving daughter, and I wanted to care for this man. And so I stepped into that caregiver role. I called him daily. I visited a few times during those last 2 months of his life. And during the last 2 weeks, we spent that time together. And I had nothing but love in my heart for him. And that love has expanded every day since his passing. My dad didn't get to experience my full love for him when he was alive. And I sense at moments that was heartbreaking for him. But he was also spiritual. And so I hope that at the time, he also knew that all of my anger wasn't about him per se, that that was my work to do in this lifetime. So we can do the same with people in our lives who are alive. And sometimes it's just not going to happen because sometimes we just want to hold on to the things to keep us safe. And that's okay. We're human beings. But we can start to practice this letting go and opening our hearts. And it doesn't have to be only our parents, our families, our loved ones, the people that we are supposed to be loving to. It can be to everyone. So, what is that thing that you are angry or upset about now? Maybe it's in a relationship that you're in. And what is it that you are needing from that person or that situation? Maybe it's something you're watching on TV. Is it safety, honesty, trust, empathy? Do you want more kindness or love? And then ask yourself, well, are you giving of that thing to yourself? And then are you giving of that to the other person? It's so often we show up in certain ways where it's really hard for the other person to show up with safety or trust or kindness or love toward us because we're not particularly any of those things either. But someone has to go first here. So if this really isn't about the other person or the situation on TV or the thing going on in your community, what is it really about at the core? And get curious. And if you get more upset and more angry, get more curious because all that feeling is, it's there to tell you that there's something here for you. All right, that's it for today. I am out on the Kindness Circle tour, and I can't wait to report back to you all the exciting things that are emerging. What I can say right now is that people are craving kindness, and the circle is giving people their power back to show up with it every day. I have 2 thoughts as we close out. It was recently National Indigenous Peoples Day in Canada. So this day is a day for Canadians to recognize and celebrate the very unique and beautiful heritage, the diverse cultures, and the amazing contributions of our First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples in this country, and that they deserve more than our respect and acknowledgement. They deserve our kindness. Celebrating their countless contributions to the world is just one of many reasons to celebrate this day, and also to use this day as a reminder of what happens when we project our fear. It can cause great harm. And so I believe it is important that we do this work to understand what that is all about and to work to show up in different ways, knowing that this is a journey and you will go at the pace that is right for you. This summer season is here to remind us that there is hope in the world, that the light within can spread to the far reaches of the globe and inspire others, that we can nurture others just as the sun nurtures us with her light. Receive the light and be the light. I love you, friend. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao. I'm now passing the talking piece to you. If you feel called to put your voice in the circle, please head to humconsulting.ca/podcast and share your story there. I cannot wait to hear what has come up for you as you have listened to what has been shared here today. I wish you love and joy beyond your wildest imagination. I also want to express my gratitude to the following peeps. Circle of Change is recorded on Lekwungen territories, and I am so grateful to live on this land. Our opening and closing music was created by the talented E-Roll Beats. You can find his creations at erollbeats.com. And special thanks to my coach, Mary Chan of Organized Sound Productions, for bringing this podcast to life. Until next time, ciao.